Hello, I'm David Rose, and here's a look at some of the top cases featured this weekend on Washington's Most Wanted in partnership with Crime Stoppers, starting with the search for an accused killer. Take a look at 38-year-old Jesse Hartman, AKA Jesse James, and he is an outlaw right now. Everett police say Hartman shot a driver on March 21st in retaliation for rear-ending his girlfriend's car and causing it to spin around. Detectives say Hartman then chased the driver who hit her vehicle and rammed that man's Camry from behind, causing it to roll over. And what first looked to responding officers like a hit and run turned out to also be a drive-by shooting.
Through the course of the investigation, detectives believe that Jesse Hartman was the driver of the vehicle that rear-ended the victim vehicle, and he ended up shooting towards that vehicle as he fled the scene.
That 40-year-old man inside the car died of a gunshot wound to the head. Now, Hartman is wanted for second-degree murder and unlawful possession of a firearm. He has multiple tattoos, as you can see, and I want to point out one specifically that may help you spot him. It's on the left side of his neck, and it reads, "Loved by few, hated by many." Corrections officers say he also has Nazi symbols tattooed on his body that he had done in prison. Jesse Hartman, a.k.a. Jesse James, is 5 feet 7 inches tall, 150 pounds, with green eyes and blonde hair. Court documents show he had plans to flee to Mexico, but he also made a hotel reservation in Las Vegas. So detectives have no idea where he really is right now. He's probably in Snohomish County. If you can provide any leads at all, submit an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound through the P3 Tips app on your cell phone or call 1-800-222-TIPS. You will be paid a $1,000 cash reward if your tip leads to his arrest. King County Sheriff's detectives need your help to identify this gunman. He opened fire as he and a second suspect robbed a man inside a spa in Skyway. Surveillance video shows the two men immediately attack as they get led into the South Bay Spa on the corner of Renton Avenue South and 75th Avenue South just after 9 at night on Thursday, March 18th. The guy with the gun holds an employee by her arm while the other one starts ransacking the place. Then the gunman starts pulling and dragging the woman by her arm as he looks right into a camera, and that gives you the best look at his face and the handgun he's holding. Realizing he's been caught on video, he pulls down the gray ski mask he's wearing to cover his face while still dragging that woman. Then you see him point the gun at a customer. Detectives say he shot that customer in the leg. After that, more terror for the woman as the gunman pushes her into a corner and then drags her and throws her across the room. King County Sheriff's detectives are hoping somebody watching tonight can help identify these suspects who pose a serious risk and need to be caught.
We absolutely need the public's help as we work to identify these two suspects and get them in custody. It is so important that we support all of our communities, and especially now those in the Asian communities, as we all rally around and support them, let them know they have the full faith and support of the King County Sheriff's Office.
The suspects had to ring a doorbell to be let in, and that's where a camera showed them waiting outside. The gunman acting like he's a customer, the second suspect hiding off to the side. So if you recognize either of them or have any information at all that can help King County Sheriff's detectives identify them, you will remain anonymous when you submit a tip to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound. You can do that through the P3 Tips app on your cell phone, or you can call the hotline. Again, it's anonymous, and you will be paid a cash reward of up to $1,000 if you can identify either suspect. Seattle police robbery detectives are trying to track down this guy, and they're hoping you can help. He's carrying a blue 5-gallon bucket. He had 2 dogs off leash with him. They appear to be pit bull terriers. One dog is brown. The other is white with black markings. This video is from outside the Safeway located at 9262 Rainier Avenue South. Police say this guy is a person of interest in a brutal assault after a man was attacked and robbed of his wallet and cell phone after he left the Safeway at 3:36 p.m. on March 18th.
The victim, prior to this, had leashed up his 2 animals on the east side of the store, gone in to buy a few items, came back out and was beaten to the point where he has lost his memory, and he's on his second surgery to get his eyesight back. So this is someone we really want to talk to help solve this case. If somebody's aggravated like that and causes these kinds of troubles, it's time that we solve this case.
Detectives say one of the victim's dogs sustained puncture wounds to its hip and hind legs. consistent with being bitten by another dog. Detectives say the attack was not seen on video, but they believe the man you see there is responsible for the assault and robbery. So if you can identify him and tell us what's in that bucket and where to find those dogs, who is he, anything at all, Crime Stoppers will pay you a cash reward of up to $1,000. You can text information, any photos, through the P3 Tips app. You can download it to your cell phone for free. You can always call the hotline. It is anonymous. Now watch as the driver of this dark-colored Kia Sorento reverses out of a spot in the parking lot of the Everett School District building on Broadway and just never stops. Careens right into a red car behind it, pushing the Volkswagen Jetta past the concrete barriers, ripping them from their rebar and shoving the car onto the sidewalk. People could have been walking there. Detectives are hoping you can tell them who's driving this SUV, who owns it, where to find it, anything at all, so they can figure out if this hit-and-run crash on March 17th was an accident or if it was caused on purpose. Either way, Brandy Harmon wants justice. She had just purchased her 2020 Jetta after her car was totaled earlier this year by another hit-and-run driver.
Whoever hit me then spun me 180 degrees. I got out to clearly thinking someone else is injured, and no one was around. I waited, 10 minutes to see if someone would come back, and no one ever came back.
Well, there was no arrest in that case, but she's hoping you can help detectives solve this one. Everett police say they can't make out the license plate from the school district surveillance cameras, but again, they believe it's a Kia Sorento. They also can't tell if the driver is a man or a woman. Brandy says she's just lucky she wasn't inside her Jetta at the time.
It's about $15,000 worth of damage that they know of. My car was brand new, had 26 miles on it when I got it.
So take one more look at the suspect and the Kia Sorento. If you know who this is, you've seen that vehicle around Everett, any information at all that can help detectives identify the driver, submit an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound. You can do that through the P3 Tips app, where you can also upload photos, or you can call the hotline. They're offering a cash reward of up to $1,000 if you can help identify this driver. Bellevue police say a business owner may have helped identity thieves after he allegedly threw his customers' information into a dumpster without shredding it. The officers arrested the store owner last month for trafficking stolen information. The business offers document shredding services, but a recent bust of identity thieves recovered stolen credit cards, driver's licenses, tax documents, and passports that belonged to several of the store's customers. A victim in the case, who asked us not to disclose their identity, says they're outraged their information ended up in the wrong hands.
If I was to talk to anybody else, I would tell them never take your papers to someplace unless you can see them shredded right on site, because after this, I'll never trust anyone.
And that's exactly what Crime Stoppers of the South Sound is doing when it holds its annual shredding event later this month, letting you watch your personal documents get shredded right there on site. So the event is on Saturday, April 24th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the main entrance to St. Martin's University off Pacific Avenue in Lacey.
It's quite an operation. It's quite exciting. So you show up, bring your documents, and you can actually watch your documents being shredded. So it doesn't cost anything, but donations are accepted. Of course, it goes to Crime Stoppers, which is an incredible organization that assists in apprehending criminals. It's incredibly important to shred your documents and destroy your documents because of what's on those documents. I can tell you as a detective, the amount of fraud and forgery related cases that I take are significant. In fact, those are the majority of my cases. So make it more difficult for folks. Shred that sensitive information that you have.
Several law enforcement agencies will also be there for even more peace of mind. Again, it's Crime Stoppers of the South Sound's annual Shred event, Saturday, April 24th from 9 to 2 at St. Martin's College. Well, tonight, a great update to share with you in the case of the stolen Batman. A thief smashed out the window of Everett Comics last October and batnapped the 4.5-foot-tall Funko Pop caped Crusader. Now, Batman has been found after Detective Adam Gage relentlessly worked the case and followed up on every lead. The break came when a man contacted Everett police after he said he purchased the statue from a man in Linwood who was selling items out of a van. Detective Gage says the crook cut off the Funko base to try to disguise Batman. He's got some scuffs and scratches on him, but he's otherwise okay. He was thrilled to be able to notify the store owner that Batman was back.
part of one of our pillars is to work in partnership with the community to reduce crime. So we want to make sure that the message is sent that even with a case like this, where it's a property crime case, that we're going to do our best to solve it.
Detective Gage says he has identified a person of interest and is continuing to investigate him and the other suspect seen driving that vehicle. And they are working to gather enough evidence to send to the prosecutor's office for criminal charges. He says they still want to hear from anyone who remembers seeing Batman with anybody after he was stolen last October. Now, because the comic book store's insurance claim for the loss has already been paid, the company's policy says the department cannot return it to the shop. So until they figure out what to do with him, Batman will be keeping watch over the streets of Everett from a window on the second floor. That's a look at some of the cases featured this weekend on Washington's Most Wanted. So join me for the full show tonight at 11 o'clock on Q13 Fox and Saturday night at 9:30 on Joe TV and 10:30 on Q13 Fox and our Fox TV stations in Spokane, Yakima, and the Tri-Cities. Together, let's make sure these criminals have nowhere left to hide.